What if we told you there's a loaf of bread that can stay soft, moist, and fresh for over a week, without a single drop of preservative? The Amish stand out with a remarkable tradition, baking bread that stays fresh for weeks, using nothing more than nature and time-honored wisdom. From hand-planted wheat fields to wood-fired ovens, every step in Amish bread making reflects patience, purity, and generations of knowledge. In this video, we'll explore how the Amish transform simple ingredients into loaves so flavorful and long-lasting, they've become a symbol of wholesome living. And don't forget to subscribe for more timeless traditions and survival wisdom from around the world. Amish bread is built on simplicity, using just a few wholesome ingredients: freshly ground wheat flour, clean water or milk, yeast or natural sourdough starter, a bit of sugar, salt, vegetable oil. There are no preservatives, artificial flavors, or machines involved. Every step, from mixing and kneading to rising and baking, is done by hand with care and precision. This hands-on approach, passed down through generations, results in bread that's not only rich in flavor, but also surprisingly long-lasting. Amish bread begins in the fields, where families grow their own wheat using traditional, chemical-free farming methods. Instead of gas-powered tractors, they rely on horse-drawn plows and manual tools, staying closely connected to the land. Wheat is planted in spring or fall with handheld seeders or horse-drawn planters. The crops are tended naturally, weeded by hand, fertilized with compost, and protected without synthetic chemicals. At harvest time, golden stalks are cut using horse-powered reapers or even by hand, ensuring every grain is handled with care. This labor-intensive process prioritizes purity and quality from the very beginning. By managing each step themselves, the Amish ensure that only clean, wholesome wheat goes into their flour, creating bread that's honest, nutritious, and deeply rooted in tradition. After harvesting, the Amish take their wheat to traditional mills powered by flowing water or hand cranks, never electricity. These mills use large stone grinders that slowly crush the grain, a method that's gentle and preserves the wheat's natural oils, flavor, and nutrients. Unlike commercial flour, which is often bleached and processed, Amish milled flour stays rich, wholesome, and full of life. This unrefined flour is not only more nutritious, but also more flavorful and moist. Its quality plays a key role in the freshness and softness of Amish bread. By using flour ground the old-fashioned way, the Amish create loaves that are healthier and stay delicious much longer, without needing any preservatives or artificial additives. Once the flour is ready, the Amish begin the dough-making process with deep-rooted tradition. They use fresh well water, a pinch of salt, and a leavening agent. While dry yeast is sometimes used, many Amish families prefer a sourdough starter, a living mixture of fermented flour and water that captures wild yeast from the air. This starter helps the dough rise naturally and imparts a rich, tangy flavor to the bread. A well-maintained starter, often passed down through generations, is considered a family treasure. It not only enhances flavor, but also boosts digestibility and preserves freshness. Families care for their starter like a living heirloom, feeding it regularly and sharing it sparingly. Amish bakers mix and knead their dough entirely by hand without the help of electricity or machines. Using large wooden bowls and strong spoons, they slowly combine the ingredients, adjusting the texture by feel, adding more flour if too sticky or a bit of water if too dry. Once the dough is just right, they knead it vigorously on floured wooden boards for 10 to 15 minutes. This effort builds the gluten needed for a soft, stretchy texture. Though physically tiring, many Amish women find the process calming and spiritual. The steady rhythm of kneading becomes a quiet time for reflection, prayer, and a deep connection to their heritage. It's a labor of love passed down through generations. After kneading, Amish bakers place the dough in a greased bowl, cover it with a cloth, and let it rise slowly, often for several hours when using sourdough. This unhurried fermentation deepens flavor, creates a soft, moist crumb, and naturally extends freshness. The acids produced during sourdough fermentation act as preservatives, slowing mold growth and keeping the bread tender for longer. Once the dough has risen, it's gently punched down to release air and then shaped into loaves. These loaves undergo a final proofing before baking, completing a process rooted in patience, tradition, and attention to natural rhythms. Amish bakers shape each loaf by hand, using experience and care rather than molds or machines. The dough is divided, rolled, and formed, then placed in greased pans or directly on wooden boards, depending on the desired style. The loaves are covered with a clean cloth and left to proof in a warm, draft-free space. This final rise is key to achieving a light, airy texture. Timing matters. Too long and the loaf flattens. too short and it stays dense. But generations of baking have trained Amish hands to recognize the perfect moment to send each loaf to the oven. One of the most traditional and cherished methods in Amish bread making is using wood-fired brick ovens. These ovens are heated by burning hardwood inside the chamber until the bricks absorb radiant heat. Once the desired temperature is reached, the fire is raked out or moved aside. The bread dough is then placed directly on the oven's hot floor or inside cast iron pans. Without modern tools like thermostats or timers, Amish bakers rely entirely on their senses, especially the smell, color, and texture of the bread, to determine when it's ready. This method produces a beautiful golden crust, a slightly smoky flavor, and a moist interior. The consistent radiant heat helps lock in freshness, keeping the bread soft for days. After baking, Amish loaves are carefully placed on wooden racks to cool. This step is essential as it allows steam and moisture to escape, preventing a soggy or gummy interior. Rushing this process can ruin the texture. Once fully cooled, the loaves are stored in breathable cloth bags or wooden bread boxes, never in plastic, which traps moisture and encourages mold. These traditional storage methods help preserve the bread's softness while keeping the crust firm. Amish families usually bake in large batches to last several days. Remarkably, even after a week or more, the bread remains moist and flavorful. Any leftover or stale slices are repurposed for toast, stuffing, breadcrumbs, or even livestock feed, ensuring nothing goes to waste. The Amish use time-tested methods to keep bread fresh without preservatives. One key tip is bagging the bread while it's still slightly warm. This traps gentle steam, keeping the inside soft for days. They also store loaves in cool, dark places like wooden boxes or deep pantries to avoid heat and sunlight, which dry out bread. Another trick is avoiding early slicing. Whole loaves retain moisture better than pre-cut ones. For longer storage, the Amish freeze extra loaves after they've fully cooled. Wrapped tightly and thawed slowly at room temperature, the bread stays moist and flavorful. These simple yet effective methods help preserve homemade bread's texture and taste well beyond a few days, naturally and without waste. That's a wrap on our video. Amish bread isn't just food. It's a story of simplicity, community, and doing things the right way, not the fast way. Their methods, untouched by modern shortcuts, create bread that's not only delicious but enduring. From slow fermentation and stone-ground flour to wood-fired baking and natural storage, each tradition is rooted in respect for nature, patience, and sustainability. So, would you trade convenience for quality if it meant your bread could stay fresh for a week, naturally? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this video insightful, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing traditions, survival wisdom, and forgotten skills that still matter today.